Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to not the sports desk because you're just live with U Stadium today. I don't even have my normal microphone set up. What a game, first of all. Monday Night Football, Monday Night Mayhem, first game in Vegas with fans. Holy Christmas, what a game that was. That is a game of the year. Like, I mean, 17 or 16 games in. That was an unreal game. So first off, props to the Raiders. I was very much an adamant Baltimore minus 4.5 guy, and not only did the Raiders cover, they won. So congratulations to the Raiders with the 6-point dub. Good job. Congratulations to Derek Carr, even though some of my coworkers think he sucks, like Nick and Noah. Cool. I guess he does suck because your opinion is perfect. Never been wrong in your life. So you're wrong. By the way, Carr is a really good quarterback, and I could have told you that before tonight. But yeah, go ahead and just blame him for everything. So they're the real L takers today. I was calling them out earlier in the chat. So yeah, you can at me if you want to talk about Carr. So that's fine. Props to Carr, props to Josh Jacobs. He wasn't 100%, but he had a couple of nice runs, had a huge touchdown, had two big touchdown runs, had one that he was like weaving through opponents. That was a nice run. Big props to Bryan Edwards. He was a no-show for 3.5 quarters. Then when the game mattered, he put up. He was the best player down the stretch. Big play by Ruggs, big play by Zay Jones on the touchdown. Darren Waller had like 20 targets, over 100 yards. He had a touchdown, nice touchdown. Big props to the offensive line for Vegas. They did a reasonable job of protecting Carr. There were a couple of free blitzers, but that's what is going to happen when you play Baltimore. They blitz 10 guys every play. Let's see. Big stuff from Yannick Ngakoue when he was on the field. Max Crosby had an unreal game. Carl Nassib came through, big play at the end with the forced fumble. Let's see, who else? Secondary was fine. Littleton made a nice play, although Baltimore did burn them the next time that play happened. Littleton made a nice play on Andrews, and then Kokowski got beaten on the play by Watkins, and solid enough from the secondary. But the secondary was clamping Baltimore receivers for most of the game, so Lamar was forced to, do scramble mode. So big props to everyone in Vegas. Congratulations. I was on in an argument the other day. Brett Coleman's Twitter account, one of his bets was Vegas +4. I said, nope. Showed my bet slip. This one guy came in, said, nope, I'm slamming Raiders -6.5. That didn't hit, sorry, but congratulations on your +4 hitting. And with that, let's get to Baltimore. Okay. So first, let's start off with some good. Tyson Williams was really good when he got the ball. As a receiver, as a runner, he was very talented. Very talented, but he was explosive. He made things happen. Good stuff from Tyson Williams. Wish I saw more, but that would be a bad thing. Latavius Murray, I gave him some crap early because he had a failed 4th and 1. Then later in the game, he had a nice touchdown run. He was breaking a couple tackles here or there. So I think ended up being a net positive for him. It was that 4th and 1 was tough. I had no confidence in Murray getting it, but fair play to him for keeping his head down and working through the rest of the game. He ended up with a solid game. Marquis Brown, once again, week 1 matters for Marquis Brown and Sammy Watkins. I'll lump Watkins and Brown here together. I believe Watkins ended with 99 yards, maybe 100. I'm not sure how they he had one catch at the end that was either 10 or 11 yards. I don't know which one they counted it as. Marquise Brown had a touchdown, went over 60 yards. It's a big game for them. Patrick Ricard, thank you for not fumbling. He had a couple catches out there. I don't know what Andrews was doing, but had a couple catches. Thank you for not fumbling. Let's go to the defense. Adafe Owe had a couple pressures, did get a sack. Pernell McPhee had a sack, but it was on a bad snap. Carr just kind of cuddled over the ball. Listened to you last week and said Ravens -8. Yes, I did. I bet on Ravens -13.5. So I was wrong. I'm cool with being wrong. I'm sorry that I lost you money. Lamar needs to stop trying to do too much. I'm going to get to that in a second. the rest of the defense, Patrick Queen had a nice sack on Carr, the third sack. Chuck Clark made a couple nice plays. He had, I think, 3 pass deflections in the first quarter, which was great. I believe, was it Levine? I don't know who came down with the interception. I just know it went off of a Raiders face mask, or went off Elliott's face mask. Chris Westry had a really good game. I don't know who, unless he was on Edwards down the stretch. I didn't see he was on Edwards, but so there was some good. There was some good. This was not a total lost cause for Baltimore, but there was a lot of bad. There was a lot of bad, and it ended up being a loss, but at a certain point, I think I would have considered this a loss regardless. Let's say Carlson just shanks the field goal at the end in the fourth quarter. Okay, I would probably, it's a win. It's a W in the win column, but I'm not excited about the performance at all. Okay, let's get into some of the bad that I saw. Let's start with Lamar. I think as a whole, Lamar had a good game. It is going to be clouded by the 2 fumbles, and those are bad, and I get it. Those can't happen. And it's on Lamar. That is, you cannot fumble the ball in overtime. You cannot fumble the ball in the third, early fourth quarter. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. You have to hold on to the football, because if you get sacked there, Cook can punt it away and the Raiders have to move 50 yards. The Raiders can do that, but you can't fumble there, and you can't fumble when you're moving up 17-10. You just can't. He made several great plays. You can't take that away from him, but he has the 2 turnovers, the 2 turnover-worthy plays. He had a couple misses. He had one miss down the right sideline. He missed Tyson Williams, had like 2 or 3 steps out in front. I think Lamar was fine. You're going to look at the turnovers, but I don't know. I imagine they maybe 65 to 70 PFF grade tomorrow. All right, let's keep it moving. Trenton Cannon was whatever. He didn't see the field much. Let's see, wide receiver. I thought the wide receivers, they just weren't getting open, so I can't necessarily blame. I'm going to blame them as a group more than shout out to the Raiders coverage unit. So Baltimore wide receivers, Brown was good, Watkins was good, Bateman hurt, Boykin hurt. Is that it? I didn't see much of Prochet. Duvernay had a muffed punt, but he also had a 30-yard punt return, so I guess that kind of balances out. He did recover the punt. It wasn't a fumble loss. Didn't see Prochet. Didn't see Wallace except on coverage units, or kick coverage units. Okay, tight ends. Mark Andrews was not very good. He had one drop that is emblazoned in my brain, because if he doesn't drop it and he catches it, well, I guess if he catches it, then it wouldn't be a fumble because he just would have caught it, right? But he had a drop that I guess I'm glad he dropped it, even though the very next play I believe was the fumble. So tough. Andrews didn't play very well. Tomlinson had a holding call. Didn't see much out of him. Josh, there was one play to Oliver that was a really pretty throw from Lamar just to tick off. But it's a place where only Oliver could catch it. It's either incomplete or Oliver catches it. There's no Raider there was a Raider there, but he didn't have any business catching the football. Let's see. Offensive line. There are no positives to take. Actually, the one positive was Tyree Phillips didn't get murdered. But that's because Tyree Phillips got injured. So another potentially serious injury for Baltimore. I don't want to speculate if it's ACL or anything, but he left the game with an injury. So Ben Powers came in. So the line was Stanley, Powers, Bozeman, Zeitler, and Villanueva. Villanueva was awful from the get-go. The first drive of the game, he was allowing pressure. That's where Max Crosby, a lot of his damage was done. Ronnie Stanley was getting obliterated by Yannick Ngakoue on the edge, former Raven. On the interior, I thought it was fine. There were a couple pressures here or there, so nothing elite from Bozeman, Powers, and Zeitler. There was a couple blown-up run plays that were uncharacteristic, even though Baltimore ended the game, I believe, with a pretty solid average for the rushing yards. I will get that pulled up on my phone. But a horrendous offensive line performance. I would have to imagine there are going to be some orange PFF grades, so 50s, maybe even some reds. So, yeah. Defensively, I think the pass rush was okay. I think Carr is just an underrated pocket mover, like mobility in the pocket. This is what Brady does. Mac Jones did the other day. Just that kind of like movement in the pocket is impressive to me. So the Ravens were getting some penetration, but it didn't end up being pressure, if that makes sense. So like there was, and then obviously they have blitzes that guys coming unblocked and Carr has to just launch it. So I do want to fact check the Ravens: 34 carries, $189, 5.6 yards per carry. Watkins had 96 yards. Brown was 6 for 69 and a touchdown. And Tyson Williams had 12 touches for 94 yards and the long rushing touchdown. So for the sake of transparency, if you take the long rushing touchdown out, Williams was 8 carries for 30 yards, so just under 4. Not ideal there, but it is better than Latavius Murray, even if you include Murray's long run, 8-yard touchdown run. So getting on to the, again, defense, just run through some stats. Queen led the team in tackles, or Queen and Humphrey had 9, both 6 solos. Averett had 6 solos. Queen had a tackle and a tackle, or had a sack, tackle for loss. Western had a TFL. Williams had a TFL. McPhee and Owe had both a sack and a TFL. So 5 total as a team, and 3 sacks. A couple pass deflections, 3 for Clark, like I mentioned. 7 QB hits. I mean, it's fine. The Raiders had 57 pass attempts plus sacks, so that's not ideal. To only get 7 quarterback hits, that's 59, not 57. 59 total dropbacks that were either a pass attempt or a sack. So you got to do better than 7 QB hits on there. But I do want to give big props to Carr. 34-56, 435 yards, 7.8 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, the interception. But the interception was on a ball that he had perfectly placed to 17. I don't remember who. I guess Willie Snead. Perfectly placed to Snead, touchdown, game over, yada, yada, yada. Or, hey, if the play before, if Edwards gets 6 more inches, touchdown, game over, you're not talking about the interception. So, yeah, let's continue through the defense. So, Queen, it was a 2020 game from Queen. He had the sack, he had a TFL, cool, but no, just he didn't have a very good game. He was missing in run defense. I don't think he had to cover Waller, if at all. But I don't think Queen had a great game. Malik Harrison was pretty much a no-show, which I guess being a no-show isn't the worst thing in the world. Humphrey had a bunch of tackles. He did technically get beat on the Zay Jones touchdown, but I think that's more of you gave up because you're not going to get it. It looked really bad. Let me be honest. It looked really bad for Humphrey there, but it's just going to be a meme. It's not something. It just looked like he gave up on the play, which I get, I guess. Tavon Young was pretty bad. He had a couple long penalties. Waller did a lot of his production on it was a mixed bag for Waller. Waller was kind of getting force-fed at times. He had, I think, 19 or 20 targets. I will look. But, yeah, as a whole, 19 targets, so he was 10 for 105. Yeah. Great game from Waller, of course, former Raven, but Lamar Jackson. Let's discuss. So I don't have any film of this at the moment, but I would like to have some film very soon. So Lamar Jackson, I'll pull up his stats. He was 19 of 30 for 235 yards, 7.8 yards per attempt, touchdown, no picks, 98 rating, 3 sacks, had 2 fumbles on the ground. He was 12 for 86, 7.2. Okay. Here's the thing. If the Ravens, first of all, this happens and people retcon the game, But if Baltimore stops Vegas and they don't kick a 50, also huge shout out to Daniel Carlson. What a kick, 55 yards to tie it. Not easy. That unreal kick. So big props there. As a whole, Lamar, okay, the second fumble is bad, but remind yourself that it doesn't happen if Baltimore doesn't blow the lead at the end. Just remind yourself that Lamar didn't put himself in that situation. He did put himself in the first fumble situation. That was a bad play. He did have a couple nice throws. He had a nice throw. The Watkins play that over Kwiatkowski, which I get it. It's a wide receiver and a linebacker. He should make that throw, but it's a nice throw. That set up a touchdown run. Beyond that, I think it's like a run-of-the-mill game for Lamar. And I think people need to realize that if you're going to make turnover-worthy plays, Lamar had 2 of them. Maybe give him a third. I didn't see the first fumble. I'm just unaware if he had a third fumble. He lost 2. ESPN said he had a third. I don't know if that was the center, like a snap exchange. I guess it was like the mesh point with Tyson Williams. Okay, so if you say 3 turnover-worthy play, okay, that might knock him down a little bit. So I guess if I had to predict like a Lamar PFF grade, I think it's going to be between a 55 and a 65. Could be lower, maybe a tiny bit, but he was effective as a runner. So, well, he did fumble twice as a runner. He fumbled once as a runner, twice technically as a passer. I guess the mesh point, whatever. So obviously a rough game for Baltimore. Great performance by Vegas. I have nothing but praise for Vegas. I know people I'm included. I thought they were a bottom 10 team to begin the year. They proved me wrong today. They looked great. Maybe not great, but they looked a lot better than I thought they would. So just overall, just a weird, tough loss. And you look at the schedule for Baltimore and you just kind of shake your head. You had to win this game. This was a must. I hate to say week ones are must win, but this is a game you don't want to start 0-2. And you're going to start 0-2. Splash, where was big bad Marlon Humphrey all night? He was fine. He was fine. You're only going to notice the final play because he got burned. That you're only going to notice that. Again, people retcon these things, and one play does not equal a whole game. People do this all the time. One play does not equal a bad game. He was fine. You're not going to throw the ball to him. He was an effective tackler, but you're not going to throw the ball to him when Peters isn't there. So I think, Frankie, you're looking too much into one play. I understand why you're going to look into that one play, but it was fine. He was pretty good. What are you supposed to do when they don't throw you the football, right? Like, what are you going to do? And when you're not throwing him the football, that's kind of, hey, good coverage, right? So I think you're kind of just overlooking 4.5 quarters of play. He got burned on the last play, but that was a bust on everyone, not just Humphrey. And Humphrey's just the guy. It's kind of like the guy in the frame. It's not always his fault, right? Fans are ripping Villanueva. Yeah, he was horrendous. I told you in the offseason he was horrendous. Not you specifically, but I just go to the AFC North group chat, talk to one of them. I said, it's a travesty. PFF doesn't know what they're talking about when PFF said that Villanueva was a better pass blocker than Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown got obliterated yesterday. Villanueva was awful today. So fans are ripping Villanueva. Yes, I'm ripping Villanueva. He was just playing poor. I didn't mean that one play. Just in general, he isn't a shutdown. He is good, but not at the next level. Okay. He's not Ramsey. He's not Jair. What do you want me to do? He He's forced 14 turnovers in 2 years. Like, he's really good in coverage. He plays inside. He can go in the slot. When Tavon Young was struggling, he went in the slot. He was on the outside. Bryan Edwards didn't do anything. I think Humphrey was on Edwards for a lot of game. Edwards didn't do anything when I saw Humphrey on him. So I do think you're kind of just letting one play cloud your judgment. I don't think he had a poor game. He got burned on one play right at the very end. That is all you're going to care about. If he got burned on if he had the worst snap of his life in the second quarter, no one cares. No one cares. But he happened to have his worst snap of the game in overtime. So yeah, congratulations. He's not Ramsey or Jair. Guess who else is Ramsey or Jair? No one. It's Ramsey and Jair. Xavier Howard has the huge turnover numbers, and he's 3 or 4. Marlon's 3 or 4. Congratulations. You're not as good as Jalen Ramsey. I don't say you're as good as Jalen Ramsey, and I don't say you're as good as Jair Alexander. I posted on the app. It was stupid that the NFL Top 100 had Alexander over Humphrey, or had Humphrey over Alexander. And I had my own Top 100 that you slandered and said, or that said, Alexander is number 2. Humphrey is not number 2. And he was quite a bit lower on the list. So again, if you're going to look at one play, okay, well, I guess Jamarcus Russell is the best quarterback ever. What else do I need to touch on? Justin Tucker, unreal, 47-yard field goal to take the lead with 40 seconds left. Just tremendous. Claps for Tucker, made from 40, made from 47. Good holds from Cook. Nick Moore was, I guess, fine. I mean, if you hit to a certain degree, if you hit the holder in the hands, you're doing something right. Duvernay, I did have a muffed punt, also had a 30-yard return, so kind of boom or bust there. Rookies. Tylan Wallace didn't see him. Bateman is injured. Ben Cleveland is injured. Or I guess he didn't play today. He was inactive. Then Owe had probably you could argue 2 sacks. It's really maybe 1.5. He and McPhee got to Carr. But okay. Frank, I'll get back to you. Odafe Owe is a ridiculous athlete. He has the pass rushing moves of a wooden plank, but he is an uber athlete. If you're making an all athlete team, he's okay. He may not be your starting edge because it's Myles Garrett and Daniel Hunter. But if you go to a lab and you make an edge rusher, you're going to make someone that's pretty close to Owe. So Marcus Whitman said that he was closer to being as close to being a good tight end as he was being a good edge rusher, just on pure athleticism. I don't disagree with you or disagree with him for that take. As a whole, Owe was a lot better than I thought he would be. Again, he has no pass rush move, zero. He is what I described Brian Burns as, but Burns at least had the speed. Owe was just speed. There is nothing else to it. There is no nuance. He's a good run defender. I thought he was good today. Calais Campbell had a huge run stuff. I don't know if he actually made the tackle, but he got the play moving in the wrong direction. So good on him for making some plays. I know he was 36, 37, getting up there in age. All right, Frankie. Lamar actually played well. He's reading defenses much better, getting better. I agree. I think he had a pretty solid game. You're going to look at the turnovers for good reason, I think, and you're going to say that's what he needs to fix. But I think he didn't lose the game as a passer today, and I think that's the important thing. I wouldn't say Lamar. Here's the thing. If he throws that ball 50 yards down the field, Sam Cook punts, and then the Raiders go to come down and score anyways, we're not having this conversation. Or we're not having this conversation if Edwards gets the extra inch. There's a lot of ways we don't have this Lamar Jackson sucks conversation, right? If the Ravens don't allow a field goal at the end of regulation, if the Raiders just score the first time, or if Lamar just chucks it out of bounds or chucks it to, seat 142, we're not having the conversation. But he did not lose the game as a passer. Props to him. There were a lot of good reads. There were a couple missed throws here or there, a little ahead, a little behind. as a passer, I don't think I can do too much complaining. I didn't really see an interceptable ball. Maybe one out of the 30 some odd attempts that he had. He had 30. Maybe one was interceptable. That's a start. The two fumbles are ugly. He had the botched snap, which I understand. It is a week one thing, but some other 25-minute mark. Let me get into like a heart-to-heart, guys. I was wrong on this game. I will take the L on this game. The Raiders played a lot better than I thought they would. I thought they would roll over. I thought the Ravens were going to come in, be able to run the ball, and assert their dominance. They ran the ball. They ran the Raiders didn't do a whole lot of stopping the Baltimore offense. It was more they had the 4th and 1 stop. It was more pick a spot and stop them here specifically. But in general, Baltimore was able to move the football until they got to third down. 3 for 12 on third down. They were 1 for 2 on fourth down. They had the failed 4th and 1 that I've mentioned several times. But 400 yards, you're going to be happy with that. You're going to be happy with that. 6.1 yards per play, that's workable. That is something that, especially a run-heavy offense, that is a workable number. Not too many penalties. The Raiders had a couple. There were, 5 penalties. There were a couple bad ones. Queen, what are you doing? Queen had one dumb penalty. Renfro was running like a little drag, and he just gets like clotheslined by Patrick Queen. Don't know what you're doing there. I don't know. I don't know what you're doing there. I didn't think Queen played. He was okay, I guess. It's probably going to be better than, like, say, PFF grades last year because he was horrendous. He was in the 30s for a lot of the year last year. But as a whole, I think if you're Baltimore, right, you look at this game and you say you had just a couple things that you screwed up, and would like to keep in mind that Vegas has a good offense. Like, they have capable offensive pieces. It's the defense that struggles, and Baltimore, you would have liked to do more, but I think it's the offensive line was just so putrid. The offensive line was awful. We've established that. But moving forward, you're welcoming the Chiefs to town. If there was a game that you don't want to play Kansas City, this might be the time you want to play Kansas City, because you were already coming off of an emotional low. You lost the game in overtime against a team you probably should have beaten, a team that I would imagine in the long run you'd be better than. I could be wrong on that. It happens. I was wrong on this game in the first place. This might be the perfect time to play Kansas City, because when you lose by 40, yes, I will be putting a bet on Kansas City to win by multiple touchdowns. When Kansas City blows the doors off and you can hit that reset button, and there is you're hitting the reset button because you're about to get exploited in ways you didn't know you could get exploited in. And it's a shame that it's a Sunday night game, because everyone's going to be watching the Ravens get killed again, or not killed again, but killed by the Chiefs. So you're going to pin this loss and say, oh, Lamar sucked, and the team sucks because you lost to the Raiders, and who the heck do the Raiders even have? And they trade their entire offensive line away, and people think Derek Carr sucks, which he doesn't. And I think the loss in general isn't the end of the world. It was good games, like great games like that, go 50-50. We saw, Chiefs Raiders last year. They had 2 awesome games, split. It happens. You lose games in the NFL. No team is perfect. There's only one team that's finished the season perfect, the 72 Dolphins. Tom Brady's never led a perfect season. Patrick Mahomes yet has not led a perfect season yet. Peyton Manning, no perfect season. Dan Marino, no perfect season. Steve Young, Joe Montana, no perfect season. You know what team is perfect? But I will say, just a tough loss, just excruciating. The highs and the lows of this game, just in the last few minutes, because you go from Tucker hits the field goal and you're thinking, all you got to do is make one stop, one pass deflection, one ball goes off Willie Snead's, or one ball goes off to Sean Elliott's face mask, and you're good. You're good. No. not today. So, and then you look ahead, the next weeks 3 and 4 on the road, it's Denver and Detroit. I forget which order, but those are games that you have to close the first 4 games at 2-2. If you close the first 4 games at 2-2, I think you have a workable schedule the rest of the way. There are some difficult teams on there, for sure. I don't think the Packers are as bad as they were, or as bad as they were portrayed against the Saints. The Rams are really good. The Dolphins' defense looks great. The Vikings were underwhelming. The Bears were underwhelming. Even the Broncos, they looked good. The Lions had a lot of fight in them. But you have to get out of this month 2-2. If you can get out of this month 2-2, and you're not, 3 or 4, maybe 3 games behind. If you're 2 games behind, you can reverse that in the division. But you got to finish the month 2-2. So that means you're probably losing to Kansas City. So you got to beat Detroit and you got to beat Denver. And I do think Denver is a better team than Vegas, and Detroit. They have a good line play, offensive line, defensive line. I don't know. Those are 2 must-win games. This is absolutely a scenario that if we're doing this show, we're probably gonna have one next week, and I'll be super sad, and I'll be like Mahomes threw for. Let me try to predict his stat line. Mahomes is going to go for 373 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Maybe throwing a rushing touchdown. Maybe 4 passing, 1 rushing. So 5 total touchdowns, 373 total yards. There's my Mahomes prediction. Chiefs win by 17, if not more, 17. If I would take 16, minus 16.5. So you're going to lose next week, more than likely. You got to answer. You got to beat Denver. You got to beat Detroit. And I know a lot of people are going to sell their stock on the Ravens. I know a lot of people were selling their stock a couple weeks ago. And I get it. I get it. You think losing Dobbins and losing Edwards were the end of the world. I disagree. If the Ravens had J.K., well, actually they probably would have run with J.K., so that would have been a little bit more effective. But if you replace Tyson Williams with J.K. Dobbins, you don't win this game. If you replace Tyson Williams with Gus Edwards, you don't win this game. Like if you just put Edwards in the backfield on every single snap that Williams played, you're not winning this game. Like you're just not. There's an argument that maybe you run the ball more, but Tyson Williams had an effective ground game, or was effective on the ground. He did give up the pressure that ended with the third technically fumble from Lamar, but as a runner, he was great. As a pass catcher, he was really good. I wasn't expecting anything at all. That's what I thought Bell and Freeman somewhat, and Murray and Cannon were there for. They're there for a goal line and third down. I did not want to see Murray for 10 carries. I cannot believe Murray ended the game with more carries than Williams. It is a travesty to me that happened. But the Marcus Peters going down, I wrote about it. It is a cataclysmic event because you don't replace Peter. Actually, I was live about it. You don't replace Peters. You can replace any member of the front seven. I think every member of the front seven to some degree is replaceable. Because as good as you think Calais Campbell is, or Justin Houston, or Patrick Queen, or whomever, you can replace that with a league average player and you're not getting a huge drop. If you replace Marlon Humphrey or Marcus Peters with a league average, which is hard to find, league average player, you're taking a huge drop. And it's hard to pin this loss on one unit in particular defensively because you did allow 33 points. You did allow 33 points. So you're going to look at the secondary because Carr threw for 450 yards. Okay, a secondary could have played better. I think the pass rush as a whole was workable, but it needs to be better because this is was an offensive line for Vegas. Now, props to Vegas. They play at a good their front played pretty well, and Carr, again, is great in the pocket, but just not ideal. Just really not ideal from the pass rush. The secondary, again, you're going to look and you're going to see the 33 points, the 400 yards, the multiple touchdowns, and you're going to say, oh, the secondary sucks. I wouldn't necessarily go that far. Tavon Young had a bad game. Marlon got beat on the last play. Westry, I thought, played fine. Elliott, I thought, was generally fine. Chuck Clark was pretty solid. Anthony Averett, didn't see a whole lot of him. I think he played okay. I don't know. I just don't know who Edwards got 3 catches in a row on, because that was incredible down the end. So thank you for making me money. I think I bet on you. Actually, let me see if I was positive in betting this week. Here we go. If I was, big dubs. I don't think I was, because I had a variety of bets with Baltimore. But I did hit on Tyson Williams scoring the first touchdown, so I'm probably close. I started with 100. I made about, I don't know. I bet, oh, wow, I got killed tonight. 5th, really? Okay, so that's fun. Yeah, so betting did not go super, super well today. I made 16 individual bets. I won 654, really? Hold the phone. What do you mean void? Oh, no. I did. Shoot. It was a Ravens win and they score Williams scores the first touchdown. That's tough. They did break a couple of my parlays. I did get them minus 14 or minus 13.5 at the half. Over 13.5. That's fine. They led by 7, so plus $1 there, plus $1, plus $1. I don't know. Rough day betting. I was 7-9 against the spread. I mean, overall, I will say Dallas. I know I ended up losing money on the bet because I bet Dallas on the money line, but good job to Dallas. They 100%. They were in that game, and they're again 50-50 games. 50-50 games are 50-50 games for a reason. Coin flip. There are some games Tom Brady has 30 seconds. There are some games Derek Carr has 37 seconds. There are other games that the Raiders use a timeout earlier, and Tucker hits a field goal with 5 seconds left. All right, and there are games that it happens. It happens. So tough loss. I have already talked to the guys on Twitter and said I'll take the L on this one. I've sent in the group chat that, hey, come trash me. That's fine. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, I think that's we're gonna end that. So thank you guys for watching. I will be back tomorrow. I guess tomorrow it's already Tuesday on the East Coast. So yeah, I'll be back later. I have my quarterback rankings, my team power rankings, and my team of the week. So good stuff. I'll see you guys very soon. Goodbye.